Have you ever wanted to discover what's missing in your life? Metaphysics is available to all and is part of your life even if you don't know it. Welcome to Metaphysics, a view through the veil with Barb Crowley. Together we'll explore the mysteries behind metaphysics and how to use it to have a deeper understanding and advantage in life. And now here's your host, Barb Crowley.
Hi, a quick note here. We experienced some internet issues during this recording. You may notice the occasional lag, delay, or crosstalk. Please bear with us. The conversation is certainly worth it. Thank you. Hi, this is Barb Crowley, and welcome to Metaphysics, a View Through the Veil. Today we're talking to Phil Catalano. Phil holds 5 Bachelor of Science degrees from the University of Massachusetts and other universities. These include parapsychology, anthropology, psychology, electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering. His profession is aerospace engineer, and he has worked in all the big guys, including NASA and JPL, which I don't know what that means. However, he did, 60 years ago, you said, started to study metaphysical and paranormal subjects as well. And today we're going to talk about how everything is connected, and consciousness and current events. So welcome to the show, Phil. I'm so glad to have you here. Phil is actually from the area. I'm in Denver. I saw you at
Paranormal Research Forum.
Thank you. I have to tell everybody, Today is daylight savings, so I'm skipping beats in here. So anyway, I saw him there, and the first question I want to ask is, why does everybody call you the wizard?
Well, I've been a practicing magic and metaphysics all my life. I'm educated in that area. I have experience. I have just a wealth of information that I've gathered from a number of sources, not only in the academic college and university forum. I studied with all the mystery schools, Golden Dawn, OTO, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, BOTA, which is Builders of the Idiom. I've studied and followed all of that since I was a young kid. How I got started, I was raised in Catholic school, but I never became a good Catholic. It never sat.
Mm-hmm.
But when Sister Helen, I don't know, maybe I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and Sister Helen said, he raised the dead. He walked on water. He changed water to wine. I was hooked on mysticism.
Yeah.
What were those miracles? What were those saints? How'd they do that? And I pursued all my life.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out there were scientists who were following and studying and researching and publishing books, authors, when I found out at the highest caliber there was high level science involved, I was totally hooked.
Yeah.
Wanted to be a parapsychologist.
Wow. But then you went into engineering, aerospace engineering. Yeah. So you needed both, the mysticism and the science.
I'm a handyman. I'm a handyman, and I'm very good with my hands. I'm a craftsman also. And my dad said, son, you can't keep chasing ghosts. You got to earn a living.
Yeah.
So he encouraged me into engineering, which I'm good at. And so I earned a living as an aerospace engineer and a scientist. So I've been following that path all my life.
How do you connect them up? Because science and parapsychology usually are, people keep them as separate fields. So how do you connect up science and parapsychology?
In the past, that's exactly how it was presented. as two different things.
Yeah.
But recently, in the 20, 30 years, more and more scientists are recognizing that magic and science are the same thing. And there are some very key scientists, and I read a lot of books and a lot of magazines
Yeah.
and a lot of information.
Well, you're
So
a
one of my-
researcher, just the fact that you went to all those schools. You're
Oh,
a
yeah.
student. You're a student. Yeah.
One of my favorite authors and scientists, and I know him.
Mhm.
His name is Dean Radin, Dr. Dean Radin. He has a PhD. And let me show you his book.
Okay. Now keep in mind, okay, so the science of magic. Keep in mind, most people are listening to us rather than watching, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why I wanted
Right,
to
so
say the book out loud. The Science
okay,
of
the name of the
Magic,
book
right?
is Science of Magic: How the Mind Weaves the Fabric of Reality.
Mhm.
And Dr. Radin is very world famous for his work. He has extensive knowledge and education, and he presents the information that shows unequivocally that magic and science are the same thing. And we're bekoming to realize that more with not just experiments, but with our reality. And so he's just one of many. But
Now, I
there
think
is
of, I'm sorry, I got to jump in here. I think of magic as sleight of hand, as a,
that is
uh,
prestidigitation.
pardon me?
That's prestidigitation.
Mm.
Magic is typically tricks and stage magic, and that is called prestidigitation.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking,
Stage
what is that
magic.
word? Yeah. Yeah. But how is that
Magic
the science? You know, is it science of
it,
sleight of hand,
uh,
or so is the
no,
universe giving
no,
us the sleight of hand?
that's entertainment. That's entertainment
Oh, okay.
and stage magic.
Mm-hmm.
This magic, and Aleister Crowley, who was a famous occultist,
Yeah.
he put a K on the word magic to distinguish it from prestidigitation. Magic is defined as making something happen in accordance to your will.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So what does this book
So when
tell
I
us?
get everything, it is one of the most incredible descriptions of how science and magic are really the same thing, but different descriptions of reality that are put together through this experiments. We've known all our lives about telepathy and clairvoyance and
Mhm.
paranormal and metaphysical subjects. We know it exists. There's no question about those activities. So science is an investigation of all that paranormal and bringing it into the scientific category by using the tools, the current tools of science. There is now understood to be a fourth state of matter, not just um, the three states that we're familiar with,
Mhm.
but the fourth state is plasma. And they're investigating plasma and in laboratories and finding it is the connection between material and the etheric world, and the connections are being experimented with, tested, and explored, and they're pretty much convinced plasma, the fourth state of matter.
Why did
Interesting.
they
I
call it
I follow
plasma?
that.
What did they call it plasma?
Plasma, I don't know, but plasma
Yeah.
has been around since the 1920s, 1930s, when scientists were trying to understand how some of the phenomena they were experiencing didn't connect to the material world they were familiar with.
Mm.
And so the word plasma came about to describe some of that energy in that format, this whatever that is, a cloud. They're also trying to understand the sun is a plasmic energy. It is a gas. It is light. It has got so many other characteristics. The sciences are still investigating a lot of things.
I was going to say,
It's just so much to know and understand. And with our current tools, especially with quantum mechanics, quantum physics, we're opening and exploring more and more.
a lot
Stay
of,
on top of it.
I'm sorry, a lot of science wants to reproduce what is happening and be able to reproduce it at will, really. Can that be applied
Right.
to plasma?
Yes, because replicating the activities in a science lab, repeatability is one of the key factors in science.
Right.
But when we're dealing with this esoteric understanding, there is a difference because everything keeps changing. Time keeps moving on, things keep changing, and there's the replication of a lot of these experiments is not well documented because things keep changing in the esoteric realm where they're trying to explore this plasmic energy.
Mm-hmm. Right. So how are they doing?
Kind of a very,
Huh? How are they?
I'm sorry?
How are they studying it? How are scientists studying, parapsychology, really, or plasma, I mean, in quantum, there's some
Well,
study,
right.
but parapsychology, they've always
We
run
can measure
away
the results.
yeah. Oh, okay. So it's based on results, but they can't duplicate,
They're
right?
trying to match the results with the activity and reality. And that's difficult because our scientific tools are limited when we're dealing with that esoteric knowledge and information. But things go bump tonight, and that's undeniable.
Right.
So now it's a matter of what is it? How do we discover the details? And that's where I'm fascinated with is the exploring and the discovering of all of that details.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've got a
yeah.
foot in both.
Pardon me?
I really do. I have a foot in both worlds. The
Yeah.
material hard science as well as the esoteric and paranormal science.
You must be thrilled with this time in history that they are actually starting to look, as you said, there is a fourth dimension, fourth
Oh,
science,
absolutely.
that it's opening up. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I'm very passionate.
they take things, scientists take things that we would have taken as fact in any other field that and will not use it as fact. Let's say near-death experiences. People come back and they talk first of all about the same thing, but secondly, many of them can tell you. You've heard about the red shoe in the hospital, right? Where somebody, came in and they were and they said, well, there's a red shoe on a windowsill on the other side of the hospital, and they went and found it. I mean, these things over and over and over in any other field would have been taken as a fact then. They couldn't make it happen, but they had seen enough of it happening that they would put it down as fact. So why can't we in this field use those same rules and make them facts?
We should be able to.
Right.
In fact, scientific tools in the esoteric realm don't exist.
But
We can't use measuring devices.
Right. But
We
in
can't use
much
the
of
measuring devices and the instrumentation. They don't match up.
right, but in much
So
of
if you
science,
can't match tools,
yeah.
that's
But
where science is exploring and discovering.
Yeah. In much of science, though, they have taken as facts things they've seen that, that has been reported many times, and they will take that as fact. But never in parapsychology. Never in parapsychology. So it's almost like a prejudice. It's almost like a prejudice that we won't apply those rules to this, to parapsychology. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I found that very discriminatory, very biased. And science is not supposed to be biased. So my thoughts. My thoughts.
And science looks for hard facts. And this esoteric realm doesn't provide those facts the way science wants them. So science either has to adapt, learn more, or explore more and find the tools to be able to define and understand the paranormal activities. Things go bump in the night. We know that. How do we know that?
How do we know that? How do we know that? Yeah.
We know it. We know it only because of the results we see.
Mm-hmm.
We see it in various experiments, telekinesis, when something moves across the table without the influence of any instruments or a person, we know there's a force, there's an energy that's making it happen. So we can look at it from that perspective, though we don't know what the energy is. We call it chi, we call it prana, we call it organ. We have different names for it in the different cultures. I'm a student also of ancient wisdom and knowledge. This information is not new. We've known all this forever, and it's very well documented in many cultures. The Chinese have it really well documented for thousands and thousands of years, 9,000 years. The Tao is a philosophy of understanding nature and the energies of nature, just pure nature, natural energies. And that understanding has brought about a lot of technical experiments and technical explorations. The Chinese have documented everything. One of the issues the Chinese are dealing with is there are so many dialects and so many different characters in different parts of the country. It's hard to put it all together. AI is helping right now, by the way.
Oh, putting all their languages, because I know that, it's like every little area has its own language in China, and there is no real Chinese. It's so many different dialects. Yeah. So how are they going to prove, or they're now looking at everything's connected? I mean, that's in the plasma, science now. They're looking at and believing that everything is connected. And how are they able to follow that up? Yeah, how are they able to follow that up?
Well, we live in a matrix where everything is connected. And in the depiction of a matrix where there are threads showing up in everything, connecting everything. And so now it's a matter of following those threads and seeing what they're connected to and knowing they're connected to something that's related to it. And then that is connected to something else that's related to it. And it goes on and on and on. And that exploration is massive. It's vast. Because the matrix, we don't totally understand. We describe it. We give it the word matrix. We saw it in the movies. We see things that are connected, but we don't know all those threads perfectly. And that's where the scientists, parapsychologists, physicists, etc., quantum physicists, especially, are exploring all this, looking to see how those threads can be defined and documented and repeated. Although repeating is very
That's what I was
difficult
going to say, the
because I mentioned
repeated
everything
part.
changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to
So in
make,
quantum physics,
go ahead,
I want to
sorry.
mention something. Okay, in the woo-woo world of metaphysics and paranormal,
Uh-huh.
we know what bonding is. When things come together, they have a relationship, and we know it's a bonding.
Hmm.
Well, the hardcore science couldn't accept the woo-woo of bonding, so they
Yeah.
retermed it quantum entanglement.
Cheating.
Quantum entanglement is bonding.
Yeah.
But now the scientists have a word that they can use instead of the woo woo metaphysical realm. So it's that category of how they are bridging the gap between magic and science by redefining the words.
Why have we now been able to have this world open up to us? When 30 years ago, I mean, half of the world was looking at parapsychology and believing it, but the science would not go there at all. Suddenly, why is the world opening up now? Is,
Because of the massive information, the internet, and people are becoming more aware of them and
mhm.
becoming more curious. And that curiosity opens up more doors. And the explorations are now exploring more of the phenomena. And it's not really a phenomena as much as it is a misunderstanding of the actual science behind it. So
Mhm.
that exploration is being written about, being experimented, books are written, scientists and authors are exploring, investigative reporters are bringing out more information. More information is available. The more information is available, the more enlightened people become about the subject.
Now I'm going to make a very, very ignorant, uneducated leap. And I'm going to ask you about string theory. You talked about threads. Does string theory have anything to do with that?
There are lots of theories that have a connection because we're exploring and learning about everything. And the strings or the threads or the connections that we find are meaningful. They're starting to represent some hard data. And yes, even though string theory is a theory, the connections that we're exploring and investigating and experimenting with are becoming more real and documented and repeatable at certain levels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's everything is connected, and we're learning more about how those connections are coming about. It's in the matter of definition and interpretation.
Hmm. So, what are you most excited?
Interpretation.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a
Sorry.
delay in our internet, so I didn't mean to talk over you. Um, what are you most excited about watching right now? We talked about the connections, but what experiments and what are you most excited about watching?
Um, honestly, it's well, I use that word honestly, but actually, it's in reality, I'm looking at the extraterrestrial and UFO connection to us.
Oh, wow.
I've been exploring that all my life, and I have some interesting stories. You've heard of Zachariah Sitchin.
Nope, tell me. Oh, maybe I did. I'm sorry. Go
Zachariah,
ahead. But our audience needs it anyway.
Zachariah Sitchin was a scholar who wrote 7, 10, maybe 12 books about the extraterrestrials and the connection through Egypt. And as a matter of fact, further on beyond Zachariah's work, we find the connections into the ancient cultures, Greece, China, the African, the South American, the Asian, the
Hmm.
Celtic. We know our history goes back thousands and thousands of years,
Right.
with more and more research being done to show the connection between our DNA and the variety of connections of humans. So we have many different races, many different characteristics, many talents and skills and abilities. And we're tracing the DNA to show that it's been around a long time. And what scientists are calling junk DNA is not junk at all. It's undiscovered or undefined DNA parameters that we're now bringing out and connecting.
Why
Again,
were they
it
calling it
shows
junk
everything
DNA?
connected.
I'm sorry. Why were they calling it junk
They
DNA?
don't know what it is.
Oh, okay. And they
They
called
called it junk because they don't know what it does. They didn't know what it was for. They
Mhm.
didn't have all the information. And this is going back maybe 50 years when they started to understand they had limited knowledge about our genome system. And now they're discovering more, and they're discovering the connections.
Yeah.
And that discovery is enlightening a lot of people, changing their minds as well.
You know, with doing the podcast, I often ask people who are ufologists, basically, I often ask, why do the cliff dwellers or the cliff pictures show us ETs very involved in normal society, and yet they went away? I mean, the pictures in caves and all will show us that there were ETs, what looked like ETs, were very involved in normal society. And yet they're gone. They just went away. Why did
Yes,
they go away and become an other now? Now it's an
there's
other.
lots of there's
Pardon me?
there's a lot of theories about why they went away. We know that there have been ancient cultures. They have been integrated. From some of the stories that I like,
Hmm.
um, there's a researcher. Her name's Ashiana Dean, and she wrote two books, channeled information from sources, and she describes how many different races of extraterrestrials have come to Earth. They've been traveling around the universe and various galaxies forever. And we've discovered how some of that is starting to be analyzed and defined. So the extraterrestrials, according to many different researchers, show that our DNA is a blend. We're a mix of many different species. Those species came here to Earth, and according to some of them, they created our solar system. They put the moon where it is, they put the planets and everything in our solar system. They put it together per a design, a plan.
Mhm.
And they designed the humans in accordance to their interpretation of humanity and the human form. So we have a body that's very, very efficient on this planet. And some of our ET ancestors also have a body. Reptilians, Orions, we give them different names
Right.
based on their with us. So we know that there is a variety, and we're a blend, we're a hybrid of many different species. Now, when they came here hundreds of thousands of years ago and set up different parts of the planet for their own purposes, their own agenda. So we have the Chinese area, we have the blacks and African area, we have the Celtic area, South American, all the Aborigines and in Australia, etc. All over the planet, we have different colored redheads, black hair, brown, blonde, and all
Right.
kinds of characteristics. Because we're a blend of many different ET species.
Mm.
This is in the research. This is in the descriptions, the authors. This is downloaded information. People get intelligence from many different sources, and they write about it. A lot of it is captured under science fiction and, just stories that we don't understand. So we're putting it all together better now than ever before. And scientists are participating in it to the hilt because they can't ignore it. It's there, it's in front of us. So now it's a matter of what is it? How did it happen?
I have a question on
That's
this.
what the exploration.
I have a question
Sorry?
on this. Is there any chance that we were another species AI that was constructed to be like the worker bees and bacteria took over the machines? And because we have more bacteria cells apparently than human cells, and the bacteria took over the machines, us, and they just figured we were a failed experiment and went away.
Well, yes. There is a lot of AI in our body, okay? And I would say we're becoming more aware of it because of things like, as an example, what is your liver doing right now? What's your pancreas doing? It's run on an autonomic system. We also have a subconscious that influences our conscious awareness, but it runs in the background. How is it running? It is some type of artificial intelligence that was provided to us so that we can function as a human being and do and think the way we do without interference of all the inner workings of our system. So it runs in the background and it's probably an AI, but it's a biochemical version of the AI. And we're making, and science has been playing around with clones and hybrid humans and all the different experiments they're doing to show or to discover how it all came about. And of course, we have had interactions with extraterrestrial, several different species forever. Like I said, we're a hybrid of many different kinds. And more information is coming out about that. And it's getting well documented and it's getting well published.
Now,
It's
why is it
exciting.
that when we see an ET or let's say like the Phoenix Lights, or suddenly we'll be exposed to, extraterrestrial spacecraft or even Sasquatch, which to me is an ET, but they're only here for a short time. Can they not be here longer? It seems
Well,
like a
yes and no.
short time.
It seems that way because of the way we define what we experience with them. We define it in our limited science. Okay, they may be shapeshifters. Okay, they may be changing dimensions, and like for instance, the Sasquatch or Bigfoot, they shift dimensions when they don't want to be seen. They shift dimensions. They're here. They're interacting,
Right.
but not to our sensory awareness. They change. And that's true of most all of the ETs that we can't understand. They shift. There's different dimensions. Science, hard science, says there are maybe 10, 15, maybe 20. Some scientists say infinite number of dimensions.
Right.
So we're familiar with our three dimensions, time, maybe a fourth dimension. But what's the fifth, sixth, and how do you distinguish the ninth, the eighth, and ninth dimension? We're trying to understand more and more, and I'm convinced that we have to expand our tools and understanding because with our limited tools, we're limited with our explanations.
Right. Okay, here's a limited idea. When I, looking at Skywalker Ranch and that kind of thing, it almost looks like the other dimensions are through wormholes or black holes or something. Like they go through a place to the other dimension. But what you're saying, like on Sasquatch and all that, it sounds like you're saying that they're still actually here, but they've switched the dimension and we can't see them. So it's not really
That
going to a dimension. They're just, the dimensions are all here and they just switch. Which
the
one?
wormholes and the wormholes and portals and stargates are are something we're trying to understand better.
Mhm.
Our current science can't put a
Right.
definition on it, but we're experiencing these things and coming up with explanations as to what we're experiencing. So we don't really know, but they could be still here and they could be traveling. They could
Yeah.
be coming in and out of all the different locations in the universe. And they do so in a science or technology that we don't fully understand.
Mhm.
Our our science fiction authors and movies and so forth try
Right.
to bridge that gap. They
Uh-huh.
try to show us that there is more to life and more to our experience than we're understanding. And I've got, as you can see behind me, I've got
Yeah.
over 1,000 books
Right. You've got
research
a
and
lot of research. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like all scientists, nobody wants to be gullible. We want the truth. Want to know the facts,
Hmm.
and that's where the investigation comes in. Trying to
Some,
find out what bump in the night.
right. Some of these things, like Sasquatch, whatever, they are so powerful that they could wipe out the human race in a heartbeat. I mean, even the spaceships we've seen, the technology is so far ahead of us. So who's protecting Earth? Why is Earth protected? Because it seems like they could
I
wipe us out in a heartbeat, but they don't. And they don't all look
they don't.
benevolent either. That's the other issue.
Well, as I mentioned, there's a blend of a lot of different species on this planet,
Mhm.
and some of them are at war with one another, and that's where biblical stories and ancient stories talk about the battle between earth and heaven. Okay. And some of those species. But there are good and bad in everything, the yin and the yang.
Right.
That's a understanding equal and opposite opposing forces of nature. Nature is vast. It's everything. Source, call it God. We call it many different things because there is something greater going on, the source of it all. Now, in that source of it all, there are species that come here and look to see how they can expand their life experiences.
Mhm.
They created Earth, supposedly. They created Earth and the humans, and they gave us all of their characteristics in different characters or in different cultures. And now they're here and have been here trying to work with us. We're trying to help us grow. So
Right.
far, they're looking, there's there's something what's called the Galactic Federation, a
Mhm.
federation of galactic beings who look at us and say, You're still not you're still too primitive. You're killing each other. You have wars.
Right.
You
Right.
gr- get get a grip on life and get current with what's going on. Stop fighting each other and learn to explore what we know so that you can evolve. And as we evolve, we'll be more acceptable into the Galactic Federation.
Mhm.
Now, again, if you look at it from a hard science point of view, who's the Galactic Federation? Those are stories. Those are downloads from various people. There are downloads about a lot of things. The hard science looks at that and says woo woo because I can't put a measuring device on it and come up with an answer. So it's a matter of interpretation. It's a matter of understanding. And people who are more enlightened and more knowledgeable, get a better grip on the things and define it. And those definitions are well written about, they're documented, there's books, there's movies, and we're trying to understand. Humans have been trying to understand each other forever.
Right.
And I like being part of that.
But at the same time, there are things documented that have come through that are not benevolent, that are, species that have come through that are not benevolent. You talk about shapeshifters. We look at Sasquatch, mostly benevolent, but there are instances where whole camps are wiped out. So why is human nature so we are so vulnerable, and we are so have no skills, no protection, anything? Why are we allowed to exist when they could wipe us out in
Well,
an instant?
there's a
Not
fear
benevolent.
factor. Fear is a very destructive force. When we don't understand something, we fear it. Fear of the
Mhm.
unknown. And that is a matter of educating and understanding something so you don't fear it. But as long as we have that fear and feel threatened, we get defensive. And that's a human nature as well, maybe designed in us for self-preservation.
Oh yeah, it'll keep the
So
body alive.
when,
Yeah.
right, and then we get into a defensive mode because we don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
and
But
then we become violent, we become
right. But you look at
destructive.
Skywalker Ranch, which is pretty well documented at this point. And some of what's coming through those portals are not benevolent. They are not. They are
No.
violent. They are looking to harm, or wipe out. They are not benevolent. So, and they have
Yep. But
the skill and ability to wipe out whole races. So, what holds them back?
well,
Somehow
for
we're
one,
protected. I don't know how.
they consider us food. Some of the evil ones, they
Mm-hmm.
consider the humans food, and there's a
Right.
lot of story descriptions of that. Why are they doing that? Because they are conquerors. They are exploring the universe and the galaxies to find where they can conquer. And we know what
Right.
conquering is. This planet has been conquered and have had conquerors forever. They're a conquering race, and
Mm-hmm.
they're up against people who are not conquering races, who are explorers trying to understand. And again, the yin and yang. There are equal and opposite opposing forces in nature. It's what we've discovered, that equal and opposite opposing force. And so who are they? They're on the dark side. Who are we? Pretty much on the light side, but we have dark elements.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I wish I had all the answers. That's why I'm exploring.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm learning and discovering,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
want all those.
What's exciting you most now besides just the UFOs, or is it that the UFOs are becoming? It's not that they're becoming more visible to us, but the information is coming out more. We're having more of our government, more of our scientists admit, well, yeah, this really is going on, which, I think most people believe, yeah, there's other species out there. There's other UFOs, there's UFOs out there. We're not the only ones, but there hasn't been, the support for that at higher levels.
Yes and no. They've been covering up more than they've
Yeah.
been sharing.
Right.
And so they know we're beginning to understand better. We've known it, the people who are exploring the paranormal and metaphysics,
Right.
we know more about what's going on, and they do too. They know
Mhm.
the same thing we do. And I can tell you, I know scientists at the highest standards and caliber that are on board with everything, but they
Right.
won't talk about it because of threats to their life and or livelihood.
That
So
I
there are
yeah. Yeah.
those restrictions cover up a lot of what we should be learning. But because of the internet and because of the higher conscious understandings that are coming about, we're exploring more. We're starting to share more. We're starting to talk about it and give it up. And those people who are covering it up and hiding it may be doing so because they're part of the evil end of it
Mhm.
and they don't want to be discovered. Okay. In my opinion, based on my research and my investigations and all of the information that I've gathered all my life, I think, no, I think I know that the upper realms of our society are extraterrestrial. The people we hear and talk about in our society are middle level managers at best.
Right.
Rockefeller, Rothschild, all of those elites are middle level managers who report to someone else above them, their
Mhm.
masters, and there's someone above them.
Yeah.
And who are they? They probably are the ones who are exploring the galaxies and are looking to conquer. And others who have designed and made the humanity on this planet, they're trying to defend us because we're them. They want to
Mhm.
defend and keep us alive and healthy. But it's a battle. It's always a yin yang battle between the good and evil. We're discovering more about that, and we're starting to bring that into a better balance. So there's lots that's still to be known. And the best part is we're exploring. We're starting
Mhm.
to discover that.
It's starting to
And
open up
that's
the
the
information. Yeah.
is discovering all of it.
Mhm.
And I want to know that, there's things go bump in the night.
Yeah.
Why?
I know. I know. Um, this is way off the field, and you may not know anything about it or want to talk about it. What do you think of parallel lives? I never get anybody to talk about that, and
Well,
if it's real.
we don't know if it's real. We can only go by the the evidence that we can identify and try to explain.
Hmm.
So, could there be reincarnation? Could there be parallel lives? I don't know for sure, but there's evidence in various activities and things that we give it that definition.
Yeah.
It must be a parallel life. It must be something that we don't understand. And if it's happening and it's happening with two different things, they look similar, there must be something that connects them. Again, I keep falling back to this. Everything is connected.
Yeah.
So if there is a parallel life, if there is a parallel universe, then we should be able to start seeing either evidence of it or try to understand it, even if our understanding comes from other sources. I know that there is a source greater than myself. Call
Hmm.
it God. I like magic. I like the term God because God can only be everything because
Right.
God doesn't have limitations. Anything less than everything is a limitation.
Hmm.
So I'm calling it. So God has this creation, and we're trying to understand where we fit in this. So we give it terms and definitions based on our technology, based on our evidence and experiments. We give it terms. Parallel universe. What is
Hmm.
it?
Right. Right.
It's a definition, and everybody can define it differently. Well, I
Hmm.
think it's this. I think it's that. And so we come up against this understanding that doesn't always match up with everybody else's, and therefore arguments. You're wrong, I'm right. That
Hmm.
kind of thing goes on all the time.
Right.
How do you know there's parallel dimensions? How do you know there's anything that we can't touch and feel? And even that we know in the sciences that everything is not as solid as it looks and appears.
Hmm.
So now that's a confusing factor.
Yeah.
Is this solid in this dimension, in this part of my reality? I'd say yes. But then if you take it to the laboratories and start looking at all the science cells and all of the atoms and such, there's big gaps between the atoms. What's that stuff between it?
Mhm.
Plasma. Yeah,
So
the
loud. Yeah.
exploration of this goes on and on and on. I love it. This is what I'm passionate about, is discovering all these things and discovering what I don't know.
Mhm.
Because all of a sudden, if everything's connected, there's a lot I don't know that connects it, or
Right.
what those connected parts are.
Do you
It's a
think when we
fascinating. I
die,
love
we
my
know
life.
it?
I love my exploring.
Do you think when we die, we know
I
it?
don't know that there is.
Pardon me?
I don't think there is a death, and I think we will have, and we have had, uh, beings who have passed or crossed over come back and influence this current life, current world. There are ghosts, poltergeists, and activities from past people, from beings who passed, who actually interface with our current 3D world. That's
Mhm.
known and documented.
Yeah.
There are things like that happening. So, is there life after death? There's always life, because we, like, for I again, back to my Catholic teachings. I I'm looking at the things that Sister Helen and all the other teachers. I'm just using her name,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they said God always was and always will be.
Mhm.
How do you wrap your mind around that? I
I
mean,
don't think we can. As humans, I don't think
no,
we
we
can.
can't.
Yeah.
I had, here's another part. I had a physics teacher who gave us a little quick story. He said, stand in the middle of a room and walk halfway to the wall, then walk halfway again, and then walk halfway again. You will always get closer, but you will never get there,
Huh.
because
Oh,
there's
wow.
always
Yeah.
a piece that you could take half of.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
remaining piece you could take half of,
That is
and it
kind of
goes on and
fascinating.
on and
Yeah.
infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, infinity. How do you wrap your mind in infinity?
Right. Right.
Well, one scientist said infinity to the infinite uh, dimension. How,
Mhm.
how do you figure that out? No,
But
we
when
make up words, we make up definitions,
right.
but we don't understand. But
But
we're getting
when we
closer.
shed
We're always
this
getting closer.
when we shed this mind and this body and we expand, I think this vessel is very limited and restrictive to be here. But, so when we pass and we get rid of the mind and the body, do you think that we know all these answers?
I would say obviously we do, because we're
Mhm.
part of every.
Right.
If we're part of everything, we'll know everything.
Do you think? Yeah.
And
I'm not sure. I'm
there,
not sure
no,
if
I'm not
we
sure
just go
either.
to another realm that's also somewhat limited, or is it wide open and we're connected in? It's interesting. Yeah.
It is. I've had past life readings,
Mhm.
and without front loading the psychic that I meet with, I said, "Give me a reading,"
Yeah.
and she said, to start with, you are a very old soul. You've been around for thousands and thousands of lifetimes.
Mhm.
Wow, that's interesting. Do I
Yeah.
know that in this mind and body? I think I understand that, because I come across things that I know. I
Yeah.
know it, like I know
Yeah.
water is wet and fire is hot. How do I know that? I
Yeah.
just know it. I can't give a definition of my past experience to define that knowing, but
Mhm.
I know it.
Yeah.
And where does that come? And somebody says, well, you've known it or experienced it in a past life or a past experience in some way, somewhere. I can accept that because it just fits. I just
Mhm.
know it. How do I? I don't know how I know it. I know it.
Do you think it can be wired into the body at birth for survival? Almost like a
I think
parasympathetic knowledge, you know?
we are a physical being in a reality that's connected to everything.
Mhm.
So there is a connection. There's a thread between our physical body and the esoteric
Everything. Yeah.
realms. There
Yeah.
is a thread. Has to be. And we can explore it and we can learn about it, but we know it because we're physical bodies in a reality that's material. We live in a material world and
Mhm.
we interact with it mostly successfully because we're still here
Right.
and we're evolving. We make a lot of mistakes, but we keep that connection going because we know there's more to our life than just our physical body. We know it.
Mhm. Right.
How
Why
do
do you
we?
think religion has fallen away? It seems like religions
Because
in the
people are
world
becoming
have fallen
more
away.
right all over the world because people are becoming more aware of themselves in the reality we're living. And we're
Mhm.
knowing that we're learning that there's very little difference between the different religions, the different cultures, and we're seeing a blend. We're seeing things come together. The hybridization of our species is becoming more and more together. And as that happens, we're realizing the stuff on the left and the stuff on the right are not necessarily that extreme. There's more of a gray area, and we're understanding that gray area better. Our tools are getting better, our thoughts and ideas and expanding are getting better. And that exploration of getting better reveals more information. And the old information that doesn't fit anymore, it goes by the wayside in
Right.
cultures, in religions, in philosophies, and in science. We've
So
avoided and changed science many times because that don't work anymore.
right. So why are we so split? And I in I'll say in the United States, but it seems to be a lot of places in the world. We are almost
Right.
black and white, complete splits without the gray
Well,
areas so much.
again, back to the ETs, there is the good and the bad.
Mhm.
And one of the philosophies of
I'm sorry, you
conquering
broke up a
is
little bit. Yeah.
so we're a divide and conquer type of philosophy. So if they split things up and cause some strife between the two, we have war and battles. And
Mhm.
that's one of the understandings of how they divide and conquer. And that goes on and has been going on forever.
Mhm.
So that could be an explanation of why and who our enemy is. In every culture, there is know thy enemy.
Mhm.
Trying to understand who your enemy is, who your adversaries are, so that you can do two things: protect yourself against them and or defeat them if they're trying to conquer you. So we have that understanding and it's prevalent in our life. We use
Mhm.
it, we see it in every bit: politics, government,
Right.
military, and just society in general.
Right. Right. Are ETs going to save us from ourselves if we move any closer to blowing ourselves up?
We are ETs. How do we know and do that? Yeah, there are good ETs and bad, or we define them as good and bad, okay,
Mhm.
because of the way it expresses itself to us. So, are we going to? We're going to change for sure. We're going to change everything and we're
Mhm.
going to understand everything better because of those changes. And with those changes, we'll evolve. That's what we have to do is get better at doing what we do. Our life is kind of limited at maybe 120 years. Our telomeres are shortened because of what we understood. And in the past, various cultures lived 6, 7 thousand years. We have that on record.
Yeah.
Who were they? How did that happen? And why did it change? So there's things we need to rediscover and bring back many things that we don't understand. Ancient wisdom knowledge is vast. And the more we understand the place, the better we can make decisions now. The more you know, the better your decisions.
Right.
So exploring and discovering and experimenting brings us more information. More information brings about better changes.
As I said earlier, the cliff drawings show ETs easily among us as part of society. They show us also smarter, being able to build pyramids and things like this, smarter. Why have we become dumber? Why have we lost so much knowledge?
A lot of it was covered up. I do. And because it was covered up because they couldn't explain it. They can't explain it. They don't want anybody else trying to discover something they don't know.
But I think at
And
one
so-
point we did know. I think at one point we did know it and lost the knowledge.
Who's the we?
I think
Who's the
basic
we?
humans knew it. I think basic humans knew, how to be in pyramid times and how to do this. I think we knew. But we have lost the knowledge. I mean, in my lifetime, I think I'm seeing people get dumber. So, somehow I think we've lost that knowledge.
We not only lost it, it was taken away from us because someone determined we're not ready for that knowledge. We're not ready for that understanding yet. We need to evolve. We're too primitive and we're too warlike.
Yeah.
When we grow up, then we'll be given to work with. And that's the way somebody, and it's in some ways you can say somebody's playing God, but God is a source. But somebody is managing this culture on this planet. It's being managed. And as it's managed, they're evaluating where we are, where the various cultures and the various societies are. Some are more evolved than others. We know of very, very primitive people living still in the jungles of the Amazon. Very primitive. They don't build a New York City. They can't. They don't understand. So we know there are variations in the way we are evolving. When the whole planet gets to a certain point of understanding, then we're given the next step. We're given the next piece of information to take us further. So
what do you think that next piece of information will be?
The understanding of how everything is connected, a better understanding of how that matrix is really connecting everything. When we understand those threads and we can start using them in a very progressive way, we'll make progress in our life, in our understandings, and we'll go to the next step. But it's going to take us getting out of the current derogatory activities that we participate in.
Right.
We need to move on, but we don't move on when we're being suppressed, when we're being manipulated and controlled by nefarious forces. Again, that yin and yang activity.
And you think
we need to keep it going and evolve it with.
And you think we are able to move on? You think we are able to move on?
We are. We always have been. Yeah. We always have been. We've been going through trials and tribulations to get there, but we do. We always do. Yeah. And that's an absolute, that's another knowing. How do I know that?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Well, Phil, thanks so much for being on. It's fascinating. And your knowledge is very vast, and it's great to watch science and parapsychology come together with the scientist,
Oh,
with
I
the
love
science.
learning.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
I love
being on.
learning.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Listen, do you want people to contact you, or do you do classes or any of
Yes,
that? Okay. Tell me about it. Let's
yes.
put that out there.
I've done many. I've done many lectures. I've done many presentations,
Mhm.
interviews. Oh, going back 40, 50 years,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I learn stuff and I share it,
Hmm.
and that's what I do. I do a lot of things in that realm. As an example, material world, I make drums, Native American hoop drums, and I
Mm.
teach classes and help people make drums. So I've helped over 500 people make shaman drums. I've helped
Wow.
them make all kinds of crafts. I'm a teacher. I'm a hands-on. I'm an engineer. I build, I repair, maintain. I do everything.
Yeah.
And been worked. I've even worked as a handyman between aerospace jobs.
Mm.
And I, I've been born and raised this way. I work well with my hands, and I use them to help and build a better world for everybody, including myself.
Yeah. How does somebody get hold of you?
Well, I don't know if they're going to see any of the information. I provided my website. I don't have a website.
Mhm.
My phone number is 303 870 8116. And my email is wizard1phil@gmail.com.
Okay, and they can contact you, and that's a
Always
U.S. number.
available.
Yeah.
I'm always available,
Great.
given to answering the phone. And to be honest, I don't answer the phone if I don't have the name or the number in my contact list.
Right.
A lot of
Right. We're all
so
getting like that. Yeah.
yeah, so leave a message
Hmm.
and I'll return the call if it's appropriate.
Okay. Good.
I don't return spam calls.
Yeah. I know. Well, thanks so much for being on and sharing this wisdom with us. I really appreciate it. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.